All right, let's keep this one short. Today, what did I do today that was more valuable? Nothing. No. Just been talking to my dad for probably 2 or 3 hours. And I always like to discuss various sorts of things, particularly about the philosophy of just about anything. I don't mean philosophical systems, I just mean the underlying way of thinking of certain situations and with people that we know. Something that we came across as there's this one thing I'm trying to remember. Yeah, that we were talking about integration of the shadow self, as described by Carl Jung. We don't really know so much about the methodology about integrating it, but taking the basic idea of integrating the part of yourself that you tend to oppress in order to be perceived as a good person. So in that sense, morality has inspired us to become less genuine as people. And I'm trying to get this stand up. There we go. And it could be for stuff that sounds counterintuitive. So, for example, not caring about what other people feel. Take in mind that how a person feels is always caused by an event or a memory. So, say someone tells a joke, and you either laugh about it or you feel offended by it, or whatever. And the cause of that reaction that you have, again, is a reaction to the event, the joke itself. And although the event doesn't give the same experience for everyone, it does create a reaction. And that's the cause and effect of the thing. But what determines our experience is our way of thinking. So the difference between you laughing at the joke or you feeling offended by that same joke is determined simply by how you think. Something I noticed for myself is that jokes or anything where you're injecting your own opinion is only well received if it doesn't challenge the other person's way of thinking. Like, the only time that we ever really feel insulted is if somehow our way of thinking is challenged. So like that, even trying to think of an example here. For example, interrupting someone. The act of interrupting isn't something disrespectful by itself. It's only made disrespectful if it's used to overpower the other person's self-expression when it comes to their way of thinking. But if you interrupt and support their way of thinking, then it makes them feel like you're on the same page. So, kind of like when two people are joking around and they just keep adding to each other's jokes. They don't perceive each other as fighting for the attention or getting their point across. They add on because to each other because they're on they're thinking in the same way. But if one of them was thinking in a more matter-of-fact, serious way, then having this way of thinking would easily would feel insulted by someone who was in a different way of thinking of joking around. The serious person would feel disrespected that the other person is not taking it seriously. And the person who is in the joking mood would feel bad, maybe even sorry for the other person that they're taking things way too seriously. That you can make anything into fun. But yeah, integrating the parts of yourself that you oppress just to be perceived as a good person. So again, that's like one thing with good manners is to listen to the other person when they talk, and they listen to you when you talk, and don't interrupt each other. Like one thing. But again, as I just said, that just depends if you're on the way that you're going to interrupt is going to add on to their way of thinking or not. But again, that part of not caring what other people feel is basically saying not caring how other people feel, but rather what they do with what they feel. Because there's no real control about how other people experience things. But what we can do is to set our standards to include people with the same frame of mind, or at least most likely to. And yeah, I'd say pretty much that. If you don't care about how other people feel, then funnily enough, you become more empathetic, because as soon as you stop caring about how the people feel, you start to think about the way that they think. So whatever it is that you say to them, and you have that in mind in order to be harmonious with them, you only have to speak in a way that basically that they want to be spoken to, within that same framework, within that same kind of mindset. way of thinking. And when you do that, that lets you, or it lets them believe that you truly understand them, which for the most part is actually true compared to a person who only feels bad because someone else is feeling bad. Well, yeah, that's is empathy. It does nothing for either of you. Like, regret is no solution. Only rectification is. What matters is what we do with what we feel. Because if we feel something and do nothing to fix any bad emotion, then there isn't really any point on growing up as a person. Because if you live with the same sort of mindset that gets you to experience things negatively, then that's just self-destructive. It's not the emotions themselves that we can control, but only the mindset behind them. So in that sense, you're employing self-toxicity by keeping the same mindset that keeps dragging you down. But anyways, having that standard for yourself and also for others, funnily enough, makes you more empathetic than someone who does care about how other people feel. Anyways, I think it's time to go to bed. If you're watching this as late as I am making it, go to bed too, man. It's not healthy. Only I can do it. Alright, bye. Toodaloo.